Now, this part of the video deals with factoring trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And we have to modify our factoring question because the coefficient of the x squared variable is no longer 1. So that question would be, what are two numbers that multiply to AC? So you multiply the leading coefficient A times the constant term C and add to B. So they still add to the middle term. Now let's factor the trinomial 6x squared plus 7x minus 20. So when we ask ourselves the factoring question, what are two numbers that multiply to? So we multiply A, which is 6, times negative 20 for C. 6 times negative 20 is negative 120. So what are two numbers that multiply to negative 120 and add to 7? So these are a little more challenging, often because that multiplication product is often large numbers. So let's think about pairs of numbers that multiply to 120. Well, 1 times 120, too big. 2 times 60, 3 times 40, 4 times 30, 5 times 24, 6 times 20, 7 does not evenly divide 120, and then we have 8 times 15, bingo, those two are 7 apart or have a difference of 7 between them. So to get the correct signs, I have to add to a positive 7. So it means the 15 is positive and the 8 is negative. That adds it to positive 7. And you would have positive 15 times negative 8. That is negative 120. Now we have to modify our factoring method just a little bit here. What you do with this technique is you decrease the degree of the 6x squared term by 1. You keep the coefficient of 6. So in that first position, we'll put 6x and 6x. Now write in your factors. It doesn't matter where you put it. One is positive 15. The other is negative 8. Now we'll divide out common factors from each of these. So the first one is common factor of 6 and 15 would be 3, so that answer would be 2x plus 5. And then 6 and 8, greatest common factor would be 2, so this would be times 3x minus 4. So there's one way to write that answer, 2x plus 5 times 3x plus 4, or 3x minus 4, or 3x minus 4 times 2x plus 5. Either of these answers are equally correct. Please pause the video and then turn it back on when you have an answer or you have a question. So now we ask ourselves a factoring question. What are two numbers that multiply to 21 times negative 8? That happens to be negative 168. And they add to positive 22. So there's a difference of 22 between these factors. So it's like a factors of 168. 1 and 168, too big. 2 and 84, too much difference. 4 and 42, still too big. 8 and 21. That's not what we want. 3 and 56. Nope. How about 6 times 28? Bingo, there it is. So I need positive 22, so this would be, 28 would be positive. The 6 will be negative. 28 minus 6 is 22. And 28 times negative 6 multiplies to negative 168. So that checks out. So remember, we have to modify our factors. We drop the degree of the leading term by 1. So instead of 21x squared, we write 21x in the first term. And then this will be positive 28, and then negative 6. The order that you write them for the factorizations does not matter. So 21 and 28, there's a common factor of 7. So that would be 3x plus 4. 21 and 6, common factor of 3. So that is 7x minus 2. So that's 3x plus 4 times 7x minus 2. One way to represent the correct answer, or 7x minus 2 times the quantity 3x plus 4. Now let's factor 15x squared minus 8x minus 12. So we ask ourselves the factoring question, what are two numbers that multiply to 15 times negative 12, so that is negative 180. So what are two numbers that multiply to negative 180 and add to negative 8? Now we need to think of factors of 180 that basically have a difference of 8 or are 8 apart from one another. So 1 and 180 is too big, 2 and 90, too big, 3 and 60, too big. The 4 and the 5 I'm not going to bother with. Let's just go to 8. 8 times, or 18 times 10. There we go. That's what we want. So since the middle is negative, the 18 will be negative. Negative 18 times 10 is negative 180. Negative 18 plus 10 adds to negative 8. Those are our two numbers. Negative 18, positive 10. Remember, we have to decrease the degree of the leading term by 1. So instead of 15x squared, it'd be 15x, first position. Then minus 18 plus 10. Take out the common factors. So the common factor, greatest common factor of 15 and 18 would be 3. So that reduces down to 5x minus 6. Biggest number that evenly divides 15 and 10 is 5. So that is 3x plus 2. So that's one way to write the answer. Another way would be 3x plus 2 times 5x minus 6. So either of those are equally correct answers. Now let's factor 16x squared minus 2x minus 3. So we need to ask ourselves the factoring question. What are two numbers that multiply to 16 times negative 3? Well, that's negative 48. And they add to negative 2. So think about factors of 48 that are 2 apart. 48 and 1, no. 2 times 24, too big. 3 times 16, too big. 4 and 12, too big. 6 times 8, bingo, because 8 minus 6 is 2. They're 2 apart. Now the 2 has to be negative, so that means the larger digit of the factors, the 8 has to be negative, because negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. Boom. So our numbers are negative 8 and positive 6. And when we write out our factorization initially, we have to, the first term is always the leading term, degree decreased by 1. So instead of writing 16x squared, we write 16x. I just put -8, +6. Now factor out the greatest common factor from each one. Biggest number that evenly divides 16 and 8 is 8. So that is 2x minus 1. And the largest number that evenly divides 16 and 6 is 2. So it would be 8x plus 3. So this is 2x minus 1 times 8x plus 3, or 8x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. And those are both equally correct answers. Thank you for watching my video, and please feel free to make comments for suggestions for future videos or how I can do things better. Thank you.